Hello, Professor Toybox here, along with Aladdin in his Prince Ali costume, and today I'm building the next section in my Cave of Wonders toy box, the treasure room, and that's going to go right over here. Here's some screenshots of this room from the original animated Aladdin movie. As we saw last time, the staircase from the entrance ends at an archway that leads into the treasure room. This room is lighter and more reddish in color than the cooler, darker cave entrance. There are huge piles of treasure in here and lots of valuable artifacts laying around. If you remember, this was where Aladdin found the flying carpet on his first visit to this cave. So this is what I'm building today. And we're going to start by framing in the room. And I'm going to begin with this long, flat terrain block. And we're going to put this over here on this end of the toy box. That's where that archway leads to. Of course, getting that lined up is always tricky. And the treasure room, as I mentioned, is a lot lighter than the rest of the cave. And even this Sands of Agrabah is a little bit too reddish and dark. So I'm actually going to use in here Lilo's Tropical Paradise. And I'm going to apply that. I'm only going to use that for this one block. That'll be the floor for the treasure room. And then we're going to come pick up this archway and put that down. And we're going to extend this archway out. And I'll flip it around so the rock on the inside of the arch is not quite so repetitive. Just like that. So there's our archway leading in. And in the screenshot, it looked only about as thick as one of these blocks, but in order to make this work, I'm going to stretch this out to be a little bit wider. Alright, and then we'll come back down to the terrain drawer and frame in the room. And we're going to go with this long, tiny, thin terrain block. And eventually, I'm going to put one of these right up in here like this. But I'm not going to do that just yet, and you'll see why a little bit later in this video. So I'm going to put the next block in, which will be this one. And we'll go ahead and style this to be the Sands of Agrabah theme. There it is. I'll set that to be my theme. And we'll drop another one down right here like that. Okay, and then eventually, as I said, another one's going to go in on this side of this room. But I'll put this one in down on this end. And we'll frame in the rest of the walls. Because I plan to put some decorations on those walls, and I could do that with these walls too, but I'll leave that as an exercise for you. And then the next thing I want to do, we're going to put this in, and I'm going to set this up so it's about hanging about one block off the edge, like that. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use this tall terrain block right here and another one right over here. And so this will be the exit from the treasure room going through there. And I'll put a couple of blocks up here like that. So now we've got our treasure room mostly framed in. And up under Building Sets Group 6, under the Arabian pieces here, we've got this archway. And this is going to fit right in here just like that. And it's not gold, but the shape of it does kind of correspond to what we saw in the screenshot for the exit going into the rest of the caves. So I think I like that. And Now we'll come back down to building sets, the terrain, and I'm going to go left. And I'm looking for the cave pieces. There's a treasure cave in here. Treasure grotto. And we're going to use this. And I'm going to set this up with one of these archways, kind of trying to line up right here with the little corridor we've created. So kind of like that. Only I'm going to flip this around like this. So we're going to put one there like that. Oops. Didn't mean to go up. I want to go back. There we go. So put one in there like that. Line this one up over here and turn it that way. And we'll do the same thing with this one. And I'm rotating it each time so it doesn't look quite so repetitive. And then we're going to come over to these little cave pieces. And I'm looking for the tunnel. There it is. And we'll line this one up. Let's see, I believe that lines up with the corner of that building, just like that. Let me grab my screenshot. Yeah. And I'm going to bring that out too wide. And so even though we didn't quite see an area like this inside of the movie, I think that kind of carries the treasure room beyond. And I like the piles of treasure and just how that's all situated. And it creates a nice maze for us when we put the gems in that we have to avoid. So I like that a lot. But as you notice, there's a lot of holes on the bottom, so it's not completely self-contained. So we're going to need a floor under here. And let's come back over and pick this up. Put it down. And we'll grab this piece, which will fit right directly underneath. This thing is really touchy. And we'll drop it right down below, like that. And we need a floor for this cave tunnel. So we'll put that there like that. We've got a couple holes on this side we got to cover up. And the same thing on this side. And then we'll use this taller block over on this end. And I could leave it like this, but the walls that are going to be for the next section are a little bit higher. And so I'm actually going to take this up to about right there. Like that. And so now that should cover up all of the exits here and the floor. And enclose that cave area. So that's good. Okay, I think that's just about it for the architecture. Now, the next thing we're going to need are the treasures to put inside this room. And unfortunately, we don't have anything like those tall piles of treasure. But there are some smaller treasure piles that are available in the interior toy box. So we're going to come down to the Gameplay Toys drawer, and I'm going to drop this toy box door out here, and we'll stick it right up against that wall. And there's some other toys in there we need too besides the treasure piles. So once again, I'm going to bring the interior toys out. So we'll come into Properties, Destination, and I already have an interior toy box that I had used earlier back in episode 25. So I'm going to link to that toy box, and that was the Palace Interior. So I'll select that, and now this toy box will link there. And I'll come out of Spark mode and exit the editor. And now before I go through that door, I want to save my game. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'll go inside the door and meet you there in just a moment. Okay, here we are in the interior toy box that will eventually be the palace interior. And I already set up the logic that we need for this trick back in episode 25. But right now, that toy box door is going to take us back to the palace dungeon. And so I need to change the toy box door destination. And we'll come back over here to Spark mode, edit the properties for the door, and we're going to change the destination. We're going to link that once again to an existing toy box, and we're going to choose the Cave of Wonders. And that's all I'm going to change on that door. And then we'll come back out of Spark mode. And here we go. Okay, and now all I need is to open the editor and scroll to one of the drawers we need, one of the interior drawers. And most of the decorations that we're going to need are under this accent and decor category. So I'm going to scroll over to the right. And I'm looking first of all for the treasure piles. And I think it would not have been any faster if I'd have gone the other direction, because they're about the halfway point, either direction that I scroll. Here's the other pieces that we're going to need, are the magic lamp and the Cave of Wonders monkey statue and Jafar's hourglass. And here's the Cave of Wonders treasure piles. So we're going to be needing those. So I'm going to exit out of the editor for right now. And we'll come over and push the button and open the editor and then wait for the time delayer to send us back to the Cave of Wonders. And I'll fast forward and meet you there in just a moment. Okay, here we are back in the Cave of Wonders. And now that we're here, I can open up the editor and those interior toys are available. So we'll come over to our treasure room. And we'll go ahead and start populating this. And you can lay these out any way you want, but I'm going to start by getting as close as I can to this corner. And I don't really want to stick out into the passageway there. So I'm going to put the first one down like this. And we're just going to kind of space these out a little bit. You can flip them around so they're not quite so repetitive. And the main thing is just place them around the toy box here and fit them in. It's really not that difficult. And you can mix them up and put some of the smaller piles in here. I'm leaving room because I'm going to stick something over there a little bit later. And we'll go ahead and just drop that one there, I guess. And again, it doesn't matter really how you put these in. You just want to make sure that you're filling up the space. One of the problems with these smaller piles, as opposed to the large piles that you saw in the movie, is that it doesn't look like there's as much treasure in here. So you want to try to pack this up as much as you can. Put as much treasure here as you can. Fill up the space. So that when they come through that door, it looks like there's a lot of stuff in here. And I'm flipping the piles around so they're not quite so repetitive. And I'm also creating, point this out, let me flip that around a little bit. I'm also creating like a little passageway, because you may have noticed in the original screenshots that it kind of went off at an angle over to this doorway over here. So I want to make sure that I'm following that design as closely as I can. because I want to make sure this looks like it did in the movie as much as possible. And as I've told Papa H recently, that, I learned a long time ago, when you're building stuff in the toy box, you kind of have to just give up the idea of being perfect with this, because you're never going to make this exactly like it looks in any of the movies. There's just no way to do that. If you try, you're going to get frustrated because we just don't have all of the pieces that we need in order to be able to do that. So get it to look as close as you can and just kind of learn to be content with it. And when you do that, you can focus not so much on all of the little minute details, but you can kind of focus more on the overall structure of your toy box and getting the feel of it right, versus having to make all of the details match, which just isn't going to happen. And that's not going to fit back in there, but I think the small treasure pile will. Nope. So that's all right though. Looking at the wall from this side, you're never going to see that. So that takes care of that side of the room. We'll do the same thing for this side. And again, I'm kind of building a little corridor here, so I'm not going to go right up next to those other piles. And we'll just try to get this as close as we can. And I'm also leaving some gaps, as you'll notice. I'm not putting this all the way up to that wall. I'm leaving some gaps to place some other things inside there, because you may have noticed in the screenshots that there were some artifacts and things sitting around inside the cave besides just the treasure piles. And so I want to leave room for those things. And I could have just placed a few of these, I suppose, and left it as an exercise for you to fill the space, but some people kind of struggle a little bit with the build exercise, and so I didn't want to leave them hanging. Some people like to put things exactly where I put them, and that's all right. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see if we put one like this and one like that. There we go. Again, we'll leave some space here for some things. And that one's going to be a little bit of a problem there. Move him over a little bit, I guess. And now we lost the interior toys. All right, so lesson learned. When you need to move something, wait until you get all the toys down. But that's no problem. I'll just go through and repeat that trick, and I'll come back out and meet you back here in just a moment. Okay, here we are back once again, and all I did was go through that toy box door and do the same thing I did a minute ago, which gives me my interior drawers again. And now I can come out here and just kind of finish filling this in. And we'll stick one of these back there like that, and another one of these out here like this. And so there's our treasure piles. And I'm going to place Jafar's hourglass over in this little spot, because I think that's just kind of cool. That's something we saw in the movie. And we're going to need this later, So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and drop this out here. And we're also going to need this later. And by placing these now, at least I have them. And that's kind of the point. I don't have to go back into my interior again. We'll move those to their final destinations later on, once we know where they're going. And we've built the rest. And you can just kind of look around, find some fun things to put in here. I think it'd be hilarious to have the Infinity Gauntlet sitting in the Cave of Wonders. So you can just kind of scroll through the drawer and find all kinds of things. The Golden Harp from Mickey and the Beanstalk. That's kind of cool. So we're going to sit this one right over here like that. And maybe stick another one over here. And again, just kind of scroll through, and that looks kind of impressive. I don't think I used this one last time, but we can stick this over here and find a spot for it. And anything you find that looks valuable, here's Cinderella's slipper. That would be kind of hysterical. So we'll put this, that fits right over here. That gives you something different to look at as you look around the room. You don't see the same things all of the time. The dead man's chest. That one I don't like so much because it's so dark. If it were more golden like the picture on the ribbon there looks like, then that would be perfect, but that just looks too dark. And these just don't quite fit for me, so I'm going to not use one of those chests. Thor's Stormbreaker hammer. That would be kind of cool. We'll sit that out over here. That'll fit. And there's just so many things in here that you could use. We've got this little decoration from Jabba's palace. So we could sit this out over here. We got this incense burner. That could work too. Maybe stick that one there. I don't think the tiki room stuff would fit. But, yeah, just scroll through and look and see what you find that you like that looks valuable and use that. Nothing wrong with that. So that's most everything that's available underneath here. Those I don't think would quite work, so we're not going to use those in my toy box anyway. And this pile looks different than the other piles. It's bigger, but those don't look like, they don't have the same look as those. It's much shinier. The same with the pirate treasure. It doesn't quite fit either, so I'm not going to use those. I kind of like consistency. Now there's some additional decorations that we can look at, and we go up to, let's see, not windows or rugs, electronics and appliances, believe it or not. There's a few things that show up under here, such as these ballroom sconces from Beauty and the Beast. And so this is one of the reasons why I did not put this block in here, because if I did, what you're going to run into is that problem, the bounding box collision. But you can put this piece in first and then put the block in, and it's happy. So, yeah. So we'll place one down here, and maybe one over here, like that. Another one on this side of the door. We should probably make sure that's about the same spacing, as close as we can get it. So like that. And then under seating and beds, there's a few other little things under here that are kind of fun. Get past the beds and you get to some of these thrones. And I thought King Stephen's throne would be kind of hilarious to stick in here. That's something that looks kind of neat. That'll sit back there like that. And let me check my list here. Yeah, that's the only one I had under there. But again, you can scroll through there and see what you can find. Under the wall hangings drawer, there's a few things under here as well. And if we go left from here, there's a lot of things that don't necessarily look valuable. That kind of looks like it could be a little bit valuable. There are these medals. You could hang one of them up. We've got these mirrors. This one from Emperor's New Groove. So you could put that, hang that on the wall. The Mad as a Hatter mirror looks kind of valuable. You could put that on a wall. Add some decorations on the walls. And again, you can do that on these too, but I don't want to go too crazy here. But anyway, just look through the drawers and find whatever you find that you think you might want to stick inside the treasure room here to decorate it. And also be sure to pull these two out because we'll definitely need those later. And with that, we are done with the interior toys. So I'm going to go ahead and come out of there and pick up one of these blocks and put it down. And we'll go ahead and fill in the wall behind here. And you'll notice by placing the wall decorations first and then the wall itself, it will let us put the wall down now. So that's how you can get around that bounding box problem. So that's it for the treasure room. Next time we'll build the lava room that will contain the rail slide maze. Until then, I want to thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed my video today, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and leave a comment to let me know. Also, if you want to subscribe to my channel, all you have to do is click my photo in the lower right corner of this video. That's all for me today. Take care.